Well, Ben Aris has been reporting on Russia for over a decade and joins us live from Berlin. Ben, thank you for your time this evening. Sweden has dropped this inquiry, as we've been hearing. What's really going on here? Why, after all this time, are there still no conclusions?
It's a highly politically charged investigation, this. You have to understand that Nord Stream is a major piece of energy infrastructure. It was supplying about a third of Russia's gas to Europe, and that was going mainly to Germany. Germany's economy is like imploding now on the lack of energy that it used to get. And so who blew this up is an incredibly politically charged question. And everyone's being extremely cautious. It was the Swedes who actually alerted everyone to the fact that the explosions that went off. Their seismologists registered the blast when they happened, and it was the next day that boats arrived and you could see all this gas, Russian gas, gushing into the atmosphere. But everybody's being very, very careful. So the Swedes have taken a very narrow line, saying that no Swedes were involved and therefore the jurisdiction doesn't apply. And they've kicked the can to Germany, which was the recipient. And the Russians have been complaining all along that they haven't been allowed to participate in the investigations and they haven't had any information shared with them. And then that spread a whole bunch of conspiracy theories. The Americans came out very quickly and blamed the Russians, but I think within the community that watches Russia, that makes no sense, because Russia was making a lot of money from exporting this gas to Europe, and that was going on despite the beginning of the war even. In fact, even today, Russia is delivering gas to Europe via Ukraine, and Gazprom is continuing to pay Ukraine transit fees despite the fact that they're at war. And the other two theories are the Americans did it because they have a new and huge LNG business, gas business, and that the Ukrainians did it. And the New York Times had a very, for my part, convincing investigation that said it was a independent group of Ukrainians that blew the pipeline up, simply to cut all that money that Europe was paying to Russia for that gas, which was then being used to fuel the war. So it's a very confused situation with nothing is known for certain.
And Ben, as you say, it's still unknown who's responsible all this time later. The US blaming Russia, Russia blaming Washington, President Putin dismissing it was Ukraine. What now?
Well, the investigations will continue, but I think it's going to be one of those ones that just goes on forever and doesn't really come to any conclusion. And the pipelines are still there. I mean, 3 of the 4 strands have been destroyed. The 4th one is actually still intact. And that lays open the possibility of, at some point in the future, should there be a ceasefire, should relations start to normalize, that the gas can be turned back on again. And as I said, this very cheap, copious amounts of gas is very important for the German economy. And so again, everyone's looking to the future and thinking, I think here in Germany where I am, that the possibility of putting that gas back in place in the future is an option that people don't want to write off or undermine. So again, there's a certain delicacy here depending on the timescale you're taking.
Well, Ben, thank you very much. Ben Aris there live from Berlin for us.